Hello, welcome to the final whistle. I'm Kenzie Benali.
And I'm Steve Forbes.
It's been a bit of a frustrating night under the lights here at St Mary's. Certainly lots of talking points from that one, and here to talk through.
Right, Kenzie, I think the word is frustration. I think there's a couple of controversial decisions, but the performance from Southampton was pretty good up to a point. I think first half they dominated the game, were good in possession, got out of really tight areas very well against Aston Villa's disciplined shape, but kind of half chances, couldn't quite get their clear cut chance really in the first half, but got in some great positions with great quick play, and look back to the sort of pressing, high intensity, moving the ball very quickly that we've come to accustomed to with the team. And then Aston Villa got that sucker punch with a goal against play on the break. Really good finish, actually a very good goal, but I don't think they deserve that. And then second half started quite slowly, to be honest. A few injuries again, which disrupted the pattern of the play, and the changes actually helped. Got some more attacking players on the pitch, and then Southampton finished very strong, and the Aston Villa goalkeeper made a couple of good saves. The offside goal at the end is debatable, but yeah, just frustration. And to be honest, I feel really disappointed for the players, because I think they put in a really good performance. They've worked ever so hard again, played really well for the club, and just haven't got the result. So it's unfortunate, but it's a good performance, but not the result that we were all wishing for.
Yeah, certainly some controversial moments from that match, which we will, of course, talk about in a few moments' time. But, Joe, what was your overall assessment of the game? Dean was pleased with the performance. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with Dean on that. To be honest, it was fits and starts kind of performance. Got into a lot of promising positions out wide, I thought, and then we kind of tended to drift inside and lose the momentum sometimes when we had some overloads in wide areas. And yeah, it was just stop start, kind of a lot of things building up. I think from the no penalty decision early in the game to then the injuries, which obviously very untimely considering only just got some players back. And then I think, the one disappointing thing is Saints didn't really test the goalkeeper until the last 15 or 20 minutes. So it took a heck of a long time to kind of really get some great looks on goal. But then Aston Villa have been very good defensively this season. You can see that with their organisation, their shape. As soon as they went 1-0 up, they weren't really interested in making it an open game. They were just trying to hit Saints on the counter, and were very happy to sit back deep, defend, and then rely on their goalkeeper, and maybe VAR coming up big for them. But yeah, it was very frustrating. I think for every Saints fan out there will be sitting there kind of scratching their head thinking, how do we at least not get a point from that? And I'll be interested to see what the players and Ralph say afterwards, because it does feel like a very harsh result. And the performance, like Dean said, wasn't that bad and definitely deserved at least a point.
Yeah, well, let's talk about one of those controversial topics from the game tonight. Dean, there was a penalty appeal on 9 minutes for a handball against Matty Cash. We're racking our brains to understand how that wasn't given, but can you explain that one to us?
I don't think I can, Steve, to be honest. It's very confusing. I think we've all had issues and the understanding of VAR, and comes down to an opinion. And I just can't see for the life of me how that's not a penalty. If I'm honest, it's prevented a goal scoring opportunity. Matty Cash, it hits his arm. You can see that directly hits his arm. I don't believe it hits his knee, which it suggested it's taken the deflection off a second part of his body onto his hand. I don't believe that did. And he's moving his arm away from his body into an unnatural position. So I just can't really see how they've made that decision. And they didn't take that long to decide either, which is quite shocking. They probably looked at it 4 or 5 times. When a decision is debatable, they do take a longer time, a longer period out of it. And it didn't seem like that tonight. So a really strange decision. I think that hindered Southampton really, because I think having a penalty after 9 or 10 minutes would have helped to go 1-0 up. Like you mentioned, Steve, it's difficult to then once Aston Villa are 1-0 up, they're not going to come out. They're going to sit in their shape. They're going to be disciplined. So, yeah, difficult and really frustrating to take that. And I think when the players see that back, when the manager sees that back, when the referee sees it back, I think they'll see that they've got that wrong.
Well, Joe, you said fans are likely to be scratching their heads after that one, and you're absolutely spot on. All the comments I'm seeing here on our socials are just some pretty confused fans, really. Azzy on YouTube has said, the handball rule, does anybody understand the Premier League VAR stance on it anymore? Jack Games has sent us this comment on YouTube. He said, played so well. VAR was the only thing that put us down tonight. The argument is that it did hit his thigh on the way to his hand. But Joe, what was your thoughts on that penalty appeal?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that technically is the ruling. If the referee and Mike Dean, the VAR official, did think that it flicked his thigh just before it hit his hand, but yeah, I agree with Dean on that. It didn't seem like it would deviate the ball a massive amount from where it's heading anyway. The hand and the arm was in an unnatural position, made his body bigger. And yeah, I mean, if you give a penalty kick, then I assume it would be a red card for a deliberate handball. So that changes the entire game. And as we've seen with Saints under Hasenhüttl and this season in particular, it's just one of those things. If we don't score early, then it doesn't quite seem to happen in the second half of games. That's been a reoccurring theme throughout the season. So started the game really brightly, but I think once one of those big decisions goes against you, it kind of knocked the stuffing out of Saints a little bit. And yeah, I'm sure the players would have seen or heard some of the reaction at half time when they went back into the dressing room. Then that would have made them even maybe angrier. But look, it's one of those things that's happened to other teams throughout the season. You can see Aston Villa having a bit of fun with it on their social media accounts, and so they know they've gotten away with one. And yeah, I don't really know what to say. As a Saints fan, I'm just kind of stunned that many bad luck situations all seem to happen within the 90 minutes of tonight's game. So they kept plugging away, kept fighting for the badge, but it's going to be a weird situation if any of that plays out again. So you just kind of have to say it wasn't Southampton's night. But for me, the handball ruling needs to be cleared up there because it's changed. There's some incidents earlier in the season where it did, I think, Leeds-Liverpool. There was a situation where Liverpool won a penalty kick, very similar, came off the thigh onto an arm. And the ruling's been tweaked and changed so many times that I think there needs to be some kind of statement released from the Premier League and officials just to say, here are the rules, everybody have a refresh, and we can go from there.
Well, Aston Villa did take the lead through a free header in the box from Ross Barkley. It was a good header, but Dean, what went wrong for Saints there?
Well, it was a really good move by Aston Villa. You know, they switched play from one side to the other, one-touch football. And then Jack Grealish got in behind James Ward-Prowse with some really, really good movement. And it was a fantastic cross. You know, you're expecting Jack to probably have a touch there, maybe cut back on his right foot, but an early cross. And it was a good run by Ross Barkley. But I think it was Ollie Watkins' run across the near post kind of distracted Jack Stevens, who made a move across to mark him. You always, as a defender, you go with the first man, you go onto the near post. That's the danger. And Ross Barkley's got him behind him with a free header. So probably needed to be tracked by a midfield player, but he was playing that sort of number 10 position. So it can be difficult to pick him up. But a really good move by Aston Villa, actually. They're only one of the first half and a good header, which you don't really expect from Ross Barkley, but a great cross. But yeah, just some good movement and maybe a midfield run and not tracking the run of Ross Barkley and the centre halves getting distracted by Ollie Watkins moving across the front post.
Yeah, well, a frustrating loss, but certainly fans pleased still with the performance. A couple of comments here on that one. Richard North has said, Southampton FC performance 7 out of 10 tonight. Oriel was excellent. Darren said, got to keep going, lads. Great work rate once again, and the goals will come. Joe, coming to you then, looking specifically at that second half performance from Southampton then. How did they do for you in the second 45?
Yeah, I think obviously with the injuries that didn't help to start the second half. A lot of chopping and changing. Obviously, Gineppo coming in at right back and forced into a lot of changes once again. But I think it was pretty good, much like the first half. Got into a lot of promising situations, one-on-one. Goalkeeper came and made a big few saves from Bednarak and Shea Adams in particular, two really good saves, and just couldn't convert those chances. Very unlucky. I did feel sometimes it's a bit predictable, but it's difficult when 10 men are sitting behind the ball and there weren't that many opportunities. But Dean mentioned it earlier. I liked when Redmond and Ings in particular would maybe drop a little bit deeper, turn, and then they could thread those balls through, and that's how Shea Adams nearly got in. So I think that's maybe something to look at for the next games coming up that Saints have, because that's where they had a little bit of joy against those teams that now send teams want to sit back deep against Saints and try and catch them on the counter. And I think now we're coming up against teams that really respect Southampton because of how well they've done this season. And then, you have to maybe change up your attack or just your approach slightly. So, yeah, got in some good positions, just wasn't, quite our evening. And I'm just seeing a quote come up from Dean Smith, the Aston Villa manager, saying that he has no complaints of VAR. So I don't want to harp on the VAR point, but just want to throw that out there.
Well, yeah, we will go on to it now. There was more VAR controversy in the dying moments. Dean, I can't wait to hear your opinion on this one. Danny Ings had a goal ruled out by the finest of margins.
He did, and again, it's surprising. I don't understand the VAR personally. One thing I'd love a referee or the association to come out and maybe explain decisions, not straight away after the game, but maybe the referee could sit down and really discuss it with someone and explain exactly why it is offside, exactly why it's not a penalty from each individual game. There's time to do that. There's a technology to do that. There's a social networks to be able to explain that to people. And I think that would help. But with the goal, a good save by the keeper. I think it was Shea Adams' strike. It was a really, really good save. And then Danny's followed up and one attempt, two attempts, a hungry goal scorer, a natural goal scorer to get the ball in the net. And I just think you give the striker the benefit of the doubt. That's how I used to play. Offside decision, you give the striker the benefit of the doubt because you want to see more goals. That's what makes football entertaining. And the ruling is, I believe, it's the armpit. It's by the side that's offside, which is strange because you can't score with that part of your arm. I think we've looked at the decision and the line's not quite straight. And Matty Cash, I think the right back, part of his body's behind the yellow line and they're giving it offside. So I think, again, it's a really tight decision. I'd be disappointed. It's gone against Southampton tonight. It's gone for Aston Villa. Hopefully some decisions will go for Southampton later on in the season to get some results. But, yeah, frustrating. And I think when the players see them two decisions come back after the effort they've put in tonight, I think they'll be a little bit low on that. But it's gone now. You can't change a decision, but a bit harsh tonight.
Yeah, we could talk endlessly about that, couldn't we?
Yeah.
But let's talk about the team selection now then. Oriol Romeo and Ibrahima Diallo, we were a little bit surprised to see them starting in the same team. We assumed Diallo would slot in at right back, but in actual fact, he was alongside Romeo in midfield. Joe, how was that pairing for you today?
Yeah, really good. I thought, they dominated midfield when they were in together. Villa didn't really have any play at all. So it was kind of what we spoke about before. A future partnership could work. I mean, they were destructive. Diallo was making those runs forward. Romeo was getting further forward. They dovetailed really well. And they showed that they can have a really good partnership. And it seemed to work. Obviously, Ward-Prowse playing right back. He did so against Grealish and Aston Villa last season as well. So maybe that was the thinking there to match him up. And he played well in that game and stopped Grealish. But yeah, I think in the midfield in particular, no problems whatsoever with that display when those two were together in the holding midfield position. Showed to me that they can really have a future as a good partnership. And that was one of the major positives from the Southampton display.
Dean, Joe mentioned it there with James Ward-Prowse playing at right back. How did he do for you this evening?
Yeah, he did okay. He did fine, actually, fitting into that position. It was a surprise, but probably actually a sensible decision and the correct decision by the manager. He controlled Jack Grealish, really. There was only one time in the first half where a clever bit of movement and then he got him behind James and obviously that led to the goal. But apart from that, really, really solid, comfortable on the ball, got into great positions first half and put a couple of really dangerous crosses in, one that flew across the box where Danny Ings almost got onto it. So, yeah, a solid performance by James there. If I'm honest, he looked a little bit frustrated. I think he wanted, obviously, to be playing in midfield because there he can be more effective. But as captain, as the type of player he's versatile. He can play in different positions. So he did a fine job tonight. But yeah, I'm sure he'll want to get back into that midfield position as soon as he can.
Well, Dean, looking ahead to Tuesday now then, we travel to take on Manchester United. What are your early thoughts on that one?
Well, it's a good opportunity for Southampton to bounce back from this result, to react from this result, and I think it will help them go into a place like Old Trafford. Manchester United will need to win the game. They've had a couple of poor results, to be honest. Sheffield United have gone there on Wednesday night, I believe, and won 2-1. So why can't Southampton go to Old Trafford and win? It's not the intimidating atmosphere that you expect. It's not the most scariest ground with the reputation it used to have. But United are a good team, and they've got some exceptional players. But Southampton can go there and express themselves. I think they've got a decent record at Old Trafford, especially with the performances. And with the performance tonight, it was a good performance. Take that into the next game and try and get a result, and try and get back to taking some of them opportunities. And I think things will change them.
Yeah, well, Joe, Southampton suffered late heartbreak against United in November. Not got a bad result at Old Trafford, though. Do you think how difficult? Do you think it's going to be?
It will be tough. I think United had that luxury, don't they, of having such a large squad that they could change 5 or 6 of the starting 11 from their game against Arsenal today and be pretty fresh. Where obviously Saints don't have that at the moment. But yeah, as Dean mentioned, they've been a bit up and down in recent weeks. You're just looking at some weaknesses in the team, and I do think that Danny and Shea, if they start up front together, then they could get in behind the United centre-back partnerships there. They have been shaky at times, Lindelof, Maguire, by whoever lines up in those positions. I think that's an area where we can really get at them. But it's going to be tough. It always is. But I think now that Southampton will maybe have a bit more fire in their belly from seeing how unlucky they were today, and use that in a positive manner. And look, it's not all doom and gloom, is it? It's still been a very good season up until this point. And I think that a big win against Man United would be the perfect remedy for that. And we all saw the game earlier in the season, 2-0 up early. I think Manchester United are much better away from home than they are at home. Their record shows that. So this is a good opportunity, I think, for Saints' attacking players to have a lot more space. And, United will be asked to come out and attack, and that will leave gaps. And I think that will suit Saints very well, and should lead to them improving their already impressive record at Old Trafford.
Great stuff. Well, thank you very much, Joe and Dean, for all your insight and analysis this evening. We do march on from a frustrating night here at St Mary's. Next up, it is Manchester United at Old Trafford on Tuesday. It's an 8:15 kickoff, so we'll be with you from 7 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you then.